Hello folks, welcome to the Green Room again, episode 4 now, with me, Wayne Green. I forgot to introduce myself again last week, and my very special guest this week, who I haven't seen for a while because he moved away to Warrington.
Correct.
Mr. Jack Nash.
Hello.
And I always call you Jack Nash, don't I? You've left your phone on, haven't you?
No, it's an alarm going off.
Oh, typical Jack Nash.
It's an actual work one because I always forget to do something at work, and it's saying, do that thing at work that you always forget to do.
Well, that's a what, like lend people money?
No, the thing at work is basically to tick a box that I never do.
Okay.
To say that you've seen a person today.
Well, that's a nice little link. We'll get into that because it's so interesting. But
very interesting.
More interesting than what we used to do, I suppose. Yes. So we have known each other for, I don't know, 5 years?
No, I think longer than that.
Yeah.
6.
Okay.
6 years.
And we met at my current place of work, where you also used to work.
Yes. Which I got bored of.
Yeah. And
because I used to work with you, really.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not true, because I moved departments and you stayed where you were for a number of years.
True, yeah.
So, you know,
you escaped.
I think I just made it more interesting for you.
I think continuing to work there without you just wasn't going to work for me.
Well, I think
that's why I left.
I think he'll appreciate the name drop, but I think that's why Dave Lang left also.
Yeah.
You know, so actually the only person, no offense, the only person that's ever left work that I've genuinely like gone in and thought, oh, it's just not the same without this person, is Chris White.
And me.
And you, of course.
Oh.
But Chris White, ladies and gents, is someone that I hope to get on this series of the podcast, either next episode or the following episode. Unfortunately, lives South Devon way.
Thinking there's 20 seconds of my podcast time taken up by you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot it's you're the yeah. Chris White's stealing your thunder. Yeah. He's going to love this.
He'll always steal my thunder anyway. So he's 10 times more interesting than I'll ever be. So.
Well, I don't know. You've got interesting stories, a lot of which we probably can't talk about on the podcast,
or
unfortunately,
out loud to anyone.
Well, I don't know. It's never stopped you before.
Especially not with my current boyfriend in the room. I think that'll...
Yes, actually, we've got an audience on this episode, folks. So if you hear any grunts or disapproving comments or bodily noises
or a slap or a punch or anything like that, come from him.
That's who it is. So so we met at my place, current place of work,
and I thought you talked too much then.
Well, what's funny is the first time I remember thinking I quite like him was a little while after I'd been working with you. It wasn't immediate, my liking for you. It was, you were just there.
Yeah.
And you were working in one little department, and you stopped me as I walked past you and asked me if I had some oven trays, not that it's relevant, but some oven trays that you needed.
Yes.
And I went into this long explanation of how I could free some up and how long it would be, and you cut me off and went, all right, I didn't want your whole life story. But bear in mind, I'd never really spoken to you before, and I had no reason to accept that. It was strangely humorous, and
you did tell me your life
it.
story anyway.
Yeah, I did. I think it was all about the oven temperatures and how
I can do this, I can do that, and I'll get it for you. And then so about an hour or so, and that's basically how my parents met. And I was like, yeah, okay. Can you get me them or not?
And the sad thing is that is so true as well, and I can't help doing it. I need to give you everyone as vivid an image of the scenario as I've got in my head. Otherwise, I just don't feel like I filled you in properly, you know?
Yeah, that's how we kind of met, and then we kind of just went on to get a great friendship from there.
We are friends now, because there's kind of an unwritten rule that while we work together, we're not friends, we are just work colleagues or associates, or, you know, there are different levels of that. But then when someone leaves, that gives you scope to then become true friends.
You saying that you can't become true friends with somebody when you work with them?
Not really, because they're just work colleagues, aren't they? You have to see them every day. If you make an effort to see someone out of work, it's different.
Which we did.
We did, yeah, but, you know, we didn't put a title on it until you'd gone. It was safe then.
Yeah, I just think that's ridiculous.
Well, a lot of people do, but I stick by it. It's just my weird kind of logic.
So what about when you go to, like, someone's wedding who you work with, are you then saying, oh, whose wedding do you go to? You go, my work colleagues? My
workmate. I joined the two.
It's a load of shit.
It is, but, you know, it annoys people, and I think the fact that it annoys people just encourages me to keep doing it.
Yeah.
I should probably mention that Jack Nash used to live in London
Yes.
because you went to uni there,
Yes.
and Jack always referred to himself as a Devon 10.
A Devon 10.
On the gay man scale, or on the just general handsome scale? Because
Well, I think like
because
you
of,
take a few things into account, don't you?
well, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But what were you? You were a 7 in London. But
Well, I think now, I think I'd be, if I was to even move back now, I think I'd be more.
you think what you'd be 11?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because at the time, I was kind of like young and like not bad looking,
Clean shaven.
clean shaven, all right personality. So, but now I've got like my own house, haven't I?
Oh, I see what
And
you
a decent
mean.
job. So it's kind of like
And
gives
a
you more,
cat.
and a cat. So it gives you more points, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know, because I don't know if your scale was based on the whole package or just physical
But
appearance.
also where you are, because then like
the
if-
ratio of
Yeah, because then like if like you're living in say a city where everyone else has got the same, well, you're kind of like, well, I've got a house again, so do I. I've got a cat, I've got a dog. It's like, well, dog beats cat, doesn't it?
So what happens though if there's someone that's better looking than you, but he lives in a bedsit?
Wow.
Who wins on that
I'd
scale?
say somebody who's like got their own place would win in that one.
Really? But he's better looking than you, but
Well, I
he
don't
lives in a
know.
bedsit.
Until he moves.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is complicated because it means it's constantly fluctuating.
Well, yeah.
I
You
don't know.
don't say a Devon 10 for ages, do you? It's got to be always fluctuating, because you can't be like 80 years old. I was a Devon 10 back in your day. And you'd be like, well, you're not anymore, Grandad.
But
so-
based on an age scale, what are you going to be like when you're 70?
Wow.
Will it then move into an age bracket?
I don't. Oh yeah, it could be
Scale.
like, I'm a Devon 10 out
For
of,
my age.
Yeah, for my age. Like
okay.
I'm a Devon 10 out of all the retirees kind of thing, and I
Right.
can still remember the scale.
Yeah.
Rather than be senile.
I can't. I hope I still know you when you're like 70 odd.
Well, you're 10 years older than me, so you've got to live till you're 80.
Well, thanks for throwing that in
And I
there.
don't think you will.
So Devon 10.
So Devon 10.
That sounds like a really complicated system you've got there.
Yeah, which I think for somebody who kind of came up with the system himself, kind of like, well,
It's his prerogative to change
I'm
it.
the creator of the system, so if I want to be a Devon 10, I'll be a Devon 10. And,
I like that.
And you'd be like, if any, you were like, so what would I be if I was a? Did I say a 6 or something?
No, I think you said a Devon 0.
Did I?
I think it was always a Devon 0.
Yeah.
You
well,
didn't even give me a
the
1.
fact that you weren't a gay man, it kind of
no,
like maybe plays against that.
Well, even if I had been a gay man, or I don't even know if you specified
Yeah,
whether
I
it was the
just-
straight scale or the gay scale.
Maybe if it, maybe the Nash scale, I should just like make it up and just say.
Well, you were always just...
No, because I think it's actual real thing.
Well, you always made a point of being mean to me anyway.
Yeah.
About my music, about my physical appearance, about everything. But I'm used to it, and I
think
take it in a fond
The
way.
way that you do your music and the way that you look, it's just like more or less an easy target.
But I think you could be. You probably are serious. But I just in my own mind, I'm like, oh, he's joking. Bless him.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, you know that I would travel half the country for you.
You did come to one of my gigs at Lilico's that time.
Yeah.
Where I pulled the 69-year-old.
Yes, you did. And also...
I'm glad you admitted that, because I've told this story, and I'm not going to go into detail, but and I wonder if people believe
you.
me.
It did happen, and she was a very stunning 69-year-old, wasn't she?
Exactly.
And she was... What's that?
Devon 10.
She was a Devon... Yeah, and the rest.
For her age bracket.
For her age bracket, she would have been a Devon 10. But didn't she say, like, you can come over with me if you like?
Something to that effect.
And then
asked
you
if
were
I
like,
wanted to go on a date.
yeah, and you were like, no, thanks, I've got a girlfriend. And she was like, well, I've got grandkids or something.
And she actually said, "But are you happy?" And I went, "Yeah." And she went, oh, "Okay." She even told me where she lived if I changed my mind.
The care home.
And,
Which care home she was at.
and she had consumed rather a lot of wine throughout the evening, but she wandered off after I'd rejected her. She's probably the only woman I've ever rejected. It's always
Really?
been me that's been rejected. I actually got to reject someone that night, and as she walked away, Jack just looked at me and went, "Awkward."
I think I also made a bet with a friend of yours who was there that night as well.
No, you didn't.
I did.
About that woman?
No, not about that woman, but about football. And he took a while to pay, but I did get £100 out of it.
Yeah, money draws money. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Very thrifty and always wins an Xbox, wins money. You're always coming in saying, "Oh, I won £200 at the bookies."
Yeah, I'm not going to
today."
tell you about the stuff I lose, though, is you? I'm not going to be
Well,
like,
no.
I lost that one on the weekend. You're not going to boast about that, are you?
No, rightly so as well.
Very stupid to do that, yeah.
Funnily enough, I was talking to a friend of mine today. I can name him, Rob Yo. He was last episode's guest, and he's. We were talking about health problems, etc., and how, remedies to this and that. And something that really annoys me is how everyone wants to live forever these days. And I know you've got to look after yourself. You've got to do a certain amount of exercise and keeping yourself reasonably fit. You've got to watch your diet, avoid certain things. Obviously, smoking's not good for you. Drinking too much isn't good for you. We all know all those kind of things. But why is everyone obsessed with cutting everything good out to live as long as they want? And I said I would rather live till I'm 70 and have 69, 70 good years of having, some of the nice things I want, than constantly just be worried about, am I going to get this? Am I going to get that? Oh, And I'm not talking about smoking and drinking too much. I'm talking about eating things that, that's got this in it and that's got that in it. I don't eat a lot of processed foods and stuff like that, but if I want to, I'm going to do it, because you only live once, and I don't care about living to 100 years old.
Everything I've got, everything that you do, like I've got in my house, you kind of like, that's linked to cancer. even I had a fucking air wick just in the corner of the room.
No.
And you were like,
formaldehydes.
Was that what it was?
My mate's always telling me they got formaldehydes in.
Yeah, and
when
it's
you've
just
worked on a care of the elderly ward in a hospital, you'll completely change your opinion on those little chocolate bars that you think are fine.
Really?
Oh yeah, when you're in your
just like, can I just not have the air wick in the corner of my? But it's got to the point now where I'm quite good, because like Connor will say like, you should do your recycling, or this goes in this bin. You drive a diesel car.
Well, just a little side note on the air fresheners. My stepdaughter, I'll give her a little plug, Hannah Rose.
Yeah.
She is a Scentsy rep, and these are an alternative to those air fresheners that have got chemicals in, and it's a scented wax with a really nice ornate lamp that the wax dish goes on the top of. You plug it in, doesn't get so hot that you can scald yourself, but it gets hot enough to release the vapor, and that's what we use in here. We don't use any of those air fresheners anymore,
because I've got a very smelly cat.
Have you?
So
Smelly cat.
Yeah, a very smelly cat. Yeah.
Well, I suggest you contact Hannah Rose White from South Molton. Get on the Scentsy
South
train.
Molton, that's a bit of a trek.
Well, I'm sure.
Will she send them?
She might do if you're nice, and that goes for anyone else. Check it out, Scentsy.
Anyone else who's got a smelly cat
or smelly dog,
just a smelly person.
Or, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe you got.
So I'll need them now. That you've chucked away my air wick.
Ooh, that's embarrassing. It's embarrassing moments time, Jack.
Yeah.
Have you got one?
Yeah. But I don't think I get embarrassed easily.
Okay.
So what might be embarrassing for somebody might not be that embarrassing for me. I kind of, when you told me you need to come on with a embarrassing story, I was like, well, I've not really done anything embarrassing recently, to me. But something I do embarrassing probably happens to me like every day.
Well, Danny Lamosa was similar because his dad is his dad.
Yeah.
He grew up not really being able to be embarrassed because he was hardened to it. But are you not easily embarrassed because you've done so many embarrassing things, you just got used to it, or you just don't do embarrassing things?
Me, I think it's just like, that's just a part of my life now, and just like I do embarrassing things, but I've just become desensitized to awkward situations, I think.
Do you know what? I'm exactly the same. I was thinking about this recently because I don't even think I've got one today.
Yeah.
But I think as I've got older, I don't take myself as seriously, and I can brush things that would have been mortifying years ago off and just go, oh, that was embarrassing, but whatever.
Because where we used to work, where I used to work with you, like I did quite a lot of things that were probably quite embarrassing, like not following protocol for one of them. But is that embarrassing?
No,
I just don't think it's like...
It became funny in the end. It was just like classic Jack Nash.
That's what he's done again. Oh, that's all right. And I think, just because I was the way I was, I'm just like, oh, it's fine. Well, I think I probably got a free pass on quite a lot of it, because otherwise I'd just be like, well, that's homophobic.
Well, I'll pull that card as well.
Yeah.
I think you're likeable as well, so I know that shouldn't get in the way of doing the job properly.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes with you it might have.
Sorry. So anyway, it's a good 10 years ago now that I was at a house party with a friend of mine celebrating his 21st, and well, I think it was 21st. Might have been younger. Anyway, cut a long story short, there was another guy there who I took quite a liking to, who wasn't out the closet at that point, but we did like each other. I think I was basically working the next day at very early in the morning for a supermarket at 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. for doing the dairies there. So basically, I thought, like, I'm going to leave this party early-ish because, I've got work.
Yeah.
Being a responsible young man that I am.
Wow. Even back then?
Even back then. So this is, I think, about 2010, I think. We'll leave the party early. Exchanged numbers with this guy, as you do. Didn't kiss or anything. Basically, I went home. So it was only quite a short walk to my house. Anyway, he gave me a call not long after I've kind of got into bed. He was like, "Can I come over?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea."
Not that you're easy in any way.
No. I was probably playing hard to get for about 5 seconds or something. But he's very, very good looking and out my league. And I'm pretty sure isn't gay now.
Oh.
But anyway, quite muscular young lad. I was like, well, who am I to turn this down?
Sure.
So we actually went back to my bed and we didn't actually do anything sexual, not even kiss, I think, because we were both a bit too drunk. We just kind of talked. And he ended up
work
falling
the next day as well.
Yeah, and I worked the next day.
Yeah.
He ends up falling asleep. And I'm like, shit, like, what do I do? Because, like, I've got work in a couple of hours at 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. And I've got, like, a drunk boy in my bed. And I was living at home at the time, so my mother, she normally does after a party, would check on me. So I was like, right, what am I going to do in this situation? So I came up with this plan that I will lock him in the room. And then, because I've got 2 keys, basically. So I'll put a key on the floor next to a piece of paper and a drink of water. And I will say, like...
So thoughtful.
Yeah, exactly. They're saying, look, like, you've woke up in a strange house kind of thing. I'll be back at 8 o'clock anyway, which after a night out isn't actually that late, is it?
It sounds like you drugged him or something.
It does, yeah. But I basically had, like, left him a key. I've locked him in the bedroom door.
Okay.
And I've left him a key, right? So I've got a key so I can come into the bedroom door. He's also got a key if he wants to leave. And I text his phone as well and I said, look, like, I've got to go to work. I'll be back at 8. There's a key there if you want to leave, but if not, I'll be back at 8 o'clock. Also a pint of water because I understand that you drank a lot. Because I didn't want my mother going in the morning being like,
who's this?
Who's a
strange man?
Yeah. So anyway, I go to work as a young, responsible man that I am.
Sure.
And very long 3 hours because I'm thinking, shit, there's a boy in my bedroom. So I did my shift and came home. And when I got home, the door was still locked. So I'm thinking, great, he's in there, then, isn't he? Because the door's still locked. If he's gone somewhere, he would have,
left it unlocked and
and left kind of thing. So I opened the door, and he wasn't in the bed. So I was like, well, what's happened here? And I looked to my right as I went into my bedroom, and there was the wide open window and curtains flapping in the wind. So this poor boy had woke up and panicked and jumped out the window.
I hadn't even seen the glass of water or the note that you left him in the key.
Or the text message that I texted him onto his phone and jumped out the window and sprained his ankle.
No.
Yes.
You found this out later?
Yes. When I kind of like texted him like, where the fuck are you?
So, why was that his... Was he so drunk that he didn't even remember going to your house?
I think so.
I don't think I've ever been that drunk that I don't remember how I got somewhere.
Yeah. But this story I kind of like told for quite some time and kept the poor boy's identity.
Sure, yeah, well, you'd have to, yeah.
Yeah. But I was quite embarrassed as well because I was like the guy who traps young boys in his bedroom and then makes them jump out of a window. And he sprained his ankle as well doing so.
So did it ever amount to anything, or did that seal its fate?
Yeah, the thing is I've seen him quite a few times out in our local nightclub and I'd been like, hi, how are you? And he'd like give me a hug and say like, I'm only gay for you. And I'm like, but you've got a girlfriend. So
yeah, as he limps away.
Yeah, which He was also the drummer in a few local bands as well.
I love the
So
fact that
that's
you're keeping his identity secret, but you're giving lots of hints as to who he might
well,
be.
this was a good 10 years.
Okay.
And anyone who kind of knows me, eventually, I kind of like just told people because
Okay.
it's a very funny, embarrassing story.
Yeah, I like to imagine what the neighbours would have thought of that. Seeing
Yeah.
this guy leap
Climb
out
out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah. And escape down the road.
Well, I suppose it wasn't so much embarrassing for you. It was more embarrassing. Well, yeah, it was embarrassing for you because of the reputation that you might have got.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sort of embarrassing for him for, for how it ended.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if he'd actually told anybody how he sprained his ankle. Being like, well, this Jeffrey Dahmer gay man had basically trapped me in a bedroom and I've only just been able to escape.
I saw a barrel of acid in the corner of the room and a hacksaw. Yeah. Oh, well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I do like that one. It's different to anything we've had so far as well.
Yeah.
So, as you might already know, listening to the people that have listened to this podcast before, we do a thing at the end of the podcast called Annoyances, where I ask my guest to go into some things or a thing that specifically annoys them. This isn't that segment, but it's
along those lines.
Yeah, I asked Jack to come along with something he wanted to talk about, and it just so happens that it's kind of a whinge. So we're going to throw it in anyway.
So basically, we should stop giving people with stupid opinions a platform to talk about these stupid opinions.
Go into detail.
So for anyone who is unemployed and watches daytime TV, they might find that there is so on, like, we'll bring on this person who believes that the world is flat against like a scientist, and it's just like, why are these opinions being weighted in the same kind of breadth as each other, when really it should be like, well, no, the world is round, we know it's round, let's not entertain the idea that like that is such a shit opinion, why do you think that way, and stop like putting it against like a scientist or something like that.
Do you not think it's because they want to just
it's provoke? Yeah, it's for the views.
It's just provocative.
Yeah, but and then it's kind of like, it's like spreading misinformation, isn't it? Or someone like an anti-vaxxer or something like that, where it's kind of like, oh, we have like the head of like the doctors and NHS and head of all like vaccines against some woman who thinks it causes autism.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because I've got a friend who is all into his natural remedies and holistics and all that kind of thing.
Which is fine, but he's not going on Good Morning Britain and saying like,
no,
I've cured my cancer because I'm like drinking whale piss.
No, and I'm not giving any of that weight, but all I'm saying is I guess it's conspiracies, like, oh, what, how can you trust this just because of that? How can you trust that because of that? Maybe it's just to offer that alternative opinion. And of course, people like you, voice about it like, oh, I don't know all this, and that's great for them. It's like the bad publicity on we were saying about podcasts. It creates, energy around, and they love that. So but maybe that's why they do it.
For every person like me who is kind of like saying, this is stupid. Why are they bringing, a flat earther into this kind of debate? For every 100 people like me, there's probably one who'll go, oh no, I'll have a little bit of research into that, and then it kind of like. That's promotes the movement, isn't it? Yeah,
I do that.
Yeah, promotes the movement, and then like you've kind of got somebody on board, haven't you, to kind of like be on board with it and say, oh, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, I don't eat any of that up, but I am one of those people that will go and have a little read about it just to educate myself, really, and find out, how much weight they've got to these things. And I did see a video. I am not saying I believe in flat Earth. I don't believe in it. But I did see a video recently that had some quite I'm not going to say evidence, some quite compelling content. Yeah. That I was watching it thinking, if I was easily influenced, I would eat this up now and go, oh my God, the Earth is flat. I wish, maybe if I can find it, I might put a link. Oh, sorry, I'm going against what you're saying here, but I might put it, if I can find it, I'll put a link to it on the Facebook page.
Let's entertain that stupid idea.
Yeah.
But I kind of think that, are people doing it? So, like Richard Branson might be one day be like, you know what, the world is round, and everyone who thinks it's flat, like, we're going to get you in like one of our spaceships and put you up there. And I think, if that's the case, I might just like for a free ship into space, start believing like the world's flat, and then, free holiday, isn't it?
To space.
To space. And then be like, look out the window, be like, yeah.
What would you
it's round.
pack? What would you pack on that holiday?
Well, I couldn't bring my cat, could I?
Don't know. Would it have its own little sort of?
Well, I think like, it's
spacesuit?
more like, you know, like go high enough up to like 0 gravity, and then you like look out the window and be like, oh yeah, it's curved.
I saw.
And you sit back down again, wouldn't you? And be like, can I have some champagne or whatever?
Yeah, well, you couldn't even have champagne, could you? How would they feed you champagne with your spacesuit on?
No, you just, I don't know, in a capsule.
It'd be a rubbish holiday. It's funny because another video that I saw recently, that again, if you were easily, duped or whatever, I don't think that's the right word, but anyway, was the moon landings.
Yes.
And there was a video on YouTube. I must watch more of these than I realise I watch. And
Well, maybe you're a part of the problem.
Maybe I am, yeah. I'm one of those 10,000 views that they've had on YouTube. And this video was taking images and video from famous so-called space footage, etc. And they were saying that if you put it in on Photoshop and you increase the contrast and you do this, and it showed it all on the settings of the computer, on each of the edges of each planet, etc., there was some kind of interference or weirdness, almost like it had been very well photoshopped. But when you increase the settings, like the contrast, etc., it exposed that image had actually been put on the screen. And again, I didn't buy into it, but it was an interesting video.
But it's also like one of those ones about like, you know, they say about the conspiracy theory about, you know, climate change. And it's kind of like, well, what if it is like, what about if we are lying about it? And, you know, we want everyone to drive green cars and not pollute the earth. That's like the worst case scenario, isn't it?
Yeah, in which case it's going to be a good outcome anyway.
It's a good outcome anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. So, yeah, as long as David Attenborough's out there campaigning for it, you've got to wonder, there must be...
I just don't feel that, like, we should just be entertaining, we should be saying that, like, here's somebody with this really naff opinion about, like, going against facts and science. And just, like, saying, why are we giving these people opinions?
I still think...
I do know why. It's because like, a producer's obviously saying that, like, you know, let's get somebody on who's, like, going to rile up everyone else and then...
But maybe get two people that are credible and have them argue it out.
But then again, there is nobody out there who is credible who believes that the Earth is flat.
Well, there you go.
So there's no argument to be had there, is there?
Slightly sidestepping the point. I'm not a big fan of Piers Morgan. He comes out with the odd thing that I'm like, okay. But I've noticed that when he has a couple of guests on the show about a specific topic, he'll have obviously someone whose point he agrees with and someone whose point he totally disagrees with. And he'll ask the person who he agrees with, you know, what do you think about this? Lets them talk all they want. As soon as the other person tries to get a word in, oh, well, that's just... And he just shuts them down. And I think that's terrible interviewing. It's like, that's so biased.
Well, you find a lot of people now kind of just say no to even going on the show because they know how his, like, kind of tactics work.
It's just very one-sided. It's if you don't agree with him, you don't get to speak and you don't get to... I saw one about trophy hunting, I think it was. And obviously it's a terrible thing. I don't agree with it. I don't even know why people are doing it. But he had someone who was campaigning against trophy hunting, and he had like the president of the Trophy Hunting Society or something. These aren't facts. These
ivory
are
clothes, basically.
His
ivory pen and his ivory paper. And
these aren't facts. These are my recollection of the interview. And again, it was the same. This guy was trying to offer his side of the argument, and he came up with some good points for his argument, as much as it's still a wrong argument. But he just gave up in the end. He just got to a point where he just sat back in his chair and was kind of shaking his head, thinking, why did you even get me on here if you're not going to let me say what I've got to say? It didn't bother me too much.
Then that's, again, like, why are we putting him on there in the first place?
Well, it's because it's controversial, isn't it? And people love it. Piers Morgan's known for being controversial.
Well, he's known for being a knobhead. But...
And again, whether people are writing in saying, this is terrible, get him off the TV, or whatever, they're still watching the show.
Well, yeah, but I also don't like Susanna Reid for also being kind of like complicit in what she's saying. Like Piers Morgan could be like, "Hey, you know what? You know what? You know what I really hate today? Like, shouldn't gay people all be like burnt?" And she'd be like, "Oh, Piers." It's like, can you not just actually stand up for gay people?
Oh,
Susanna?
and say,
yeah, no, rather
yeah.
than like, "Oh, Piers, that's what it's like." Can't you be like,
Yeah.
"Hang on a minute, Piers. I don't think gay people should be burnt."
I wonder what's being said to them in their ears, because they've got those in ears, haven't they? I'd love to hear some of that audio. You know, what the producers are saying. You know, are they telling them what to say?
Well,
Are
I
they
can imagine that Piers Morgan even has a brain, so it probably goes in one ear and out the other straight the way through, doesn't it?
Movie of the Week.
It's Movie of the Week time again on episode 4 of The Green Room. Before I get into my Movie of the Week, I just want to give a little mention to my mate Jiff for firstly listening to the podcast. Thanks for that. And secondly, for watching Zombieland last week off the back of my recommendation on the last episode. He's been having a bit of a binge on the old zombie movies lately, and by all accounts enjoyed that one. So cheers, Jiff. My Movie of the Week this week is a film a friend of mine, hopefully won't mind me giving him a mention, Will Newton, has been telling me to watch for months. He texted me after he watched it a while back and said it was one of the best films he'd seen for a long time and that I should watch it. And I finally got round to watching it last week, and he's not wrong. It's really, really good. And it's a film called Green Book. It came out last year and stars Viggo Mortensen, who you probably would have seen as Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and Mahershala Ali, I think that's how you pronounce it, who's actually been cast as Blade in the new reboot. It's directed by Peter Farrelly, who's one half of the Farrelly brothers directing duo. They did films like Dumb and Dumber, There's Something About Mary, and a load of other comedies that you would have seen, heard of. And although this has got comedy in it, it's more of a drama. The film's based on a true story and is set in 1962 and follows a talented and successful black classical pianist as he sort of embarks on a 2-month tour of the southern states of America, which at that time were particularly racist. He's in need of a driver to get him to each of his tour dates, but also needs someone who can handle himself due to, you know, any trouble he might encounter along the way. And this tough sort of Italian-American family man, Viggo Mortensen, reluctantly accepts the job. Both men are from totally different worlds, totally different backgrounds, but learn a lot about and from each other throughout the film. It'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry, and it'll really give you a shocking insight into how black people were treated back then. It's easily one of the best films I've seen for a while and definitely deserves its place as Movie of the Week this episode. As always, I'll post a link to the trailer on the Facebook page. Go and check it out, watch the film, and let me know what you think. I'll be amazed if you don't like it, but let me know if you don't. Let me know if you do. There's also a couple of films I've still got to watch. Thanks for the recommendations. I will get round to watching them, and I'll give you my feedback on them as soon as I've seen them. So that's my Movie of the Week on episode 4 of The Green Room, Green Book. Cheers. We've reached Names You Wouldn't Call Your Baby. Jack, are you excited?
I am.
I am.
So excited, but I think your previous guests have kind of taken all the good ones.
Do you think?
Yeah.
It's kind of taken an unexpected turn.
Well, I was kind of thinking that the names you wouldn't call your baby, like I was kind of like gonna think of like just a normal name that people have now that have no one's calling their babies
Which
anymore.
was the original idea.
Exactly, but when you've kind of like got Adolf
And Megatron.
and Megatron, like what? Well, where do
The
I go
sky's
from
the
there?
limit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, hold that thought until we cue the jingle. Names you wouldn't call your baby. So, from that,
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear yours.
I think I've got like a lot of like pressure on me now though.
No, there's no real pressure because it's gone such a different way to what I...
As long as I can justify it, I think.
Yes, and can you give us a like a bit of background as to how you came up with this, or is it just?
I just feel that like there's no one. Babies wouldn't suit this name.
Okay.
And there's no one calling their baby this name anymore, because there are people around today who have this name.
Okay.
And I just don't really think it'd suit a baby or a child or anybody under the age of 30.
Is it a male or female name?
It's a male. I did try to think of a female name because I think that's where everyone's been going with with male names. And so I did try to think about a female name.
Okay.
But all the ones that I kind of felt was like, you know, if with a female, it's kind of like you'd normally think of like old lady names, don't you?
But they're coming back.
Exactly.
Exactly.
They are coming back into fashion. So I was like, well, if someone says, "Oh, I'm gonna call your baby Edith," it's like, well, actually, Edith's an old lady name, but coming back into fashion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've got, because we kind of talked about, I think Dave Petty came up with the idea that at the end of the series, I throw in mine, and then we put it to a public vote to see what everyone votes as the number one name you wouldn't call your baby. I've got a male name and a female name at the top of my list. At the moment, the female name is probably the one I'm going to throw in, but we'll see.
But I think as well, like you'd even argue. So you kind of like when you think of like things you wouldn't call your baby and things like what they like associated with. So for like an old lady, it's like we wouldn't. Well, for a woman, you wouldn't say Rose back in the day because of say like Rose West.
Yeah.
But then you'd think, well, Rose actually an all right name, isn't it?
Kaz's middle name's Rose.
Well, exactly. And you get like, well, you wouldn't call your baby Fred because of Fred West, but then you've got Freddie Mercury, haven't you?
Yeah, I guess
Fred and Freddie is not actually that bad.
I guess it depends how soon after that association if that makes sense, it happens. Like that year, the Fred West thing happened. I'm sure Fred and Rose weren't very
popular as they
weren't
are.
popular.
Yeah.
But then it fades away, and then it becomes more acceptable.
Yeah.
But then there are certain names like Adolf that
are never going to be acceptable.
No, because it was such a horrendous.
But maybe that's just because of where we live. Maybe there are quite a few. Maybe it's a popular name in Germany.
Well, I've actually been told that Adolfo, I think this was from Dan Wassell, messaged me that Adolfo is a kind of variation of that name, and it's still totally acceptable and quite popular in Spain, I think he said.
Well, this podcast is... You're learning new things every day, aren't you?
Well, Danny Lamosa learnt at the beginning of the podcast that the clapper at the beginning of a film is to sync the audio. Oh. Just like I do the clap before it, so when I'm syncing it all up, I can put it in the right way.
idea.
He was amazed by that. He said, "Wow, I've learnt something already, and we haven't even started the podcast."
Yeah.
Anyway, we've gone off topic. So, little scenario for you, Jack.
Okay.
Jack, what a lovely, lovely baby. It's very hairy and brown.
Beard. You got a lovely beard.
Yeah.
So this is my baby.
Jack's holding a cushion, hence the hairy and brown. But what an absolutely lovely baby, Jack. You must be so proud.
I'm so proud to tears. Here, I'd like
it's rather big as well.
Introduce you to baby Brian.
See, Brian... sorry, I almost dropped the baby then.
Yeah.
Well, Brian was one of the ones that I actually kind of advertised this with.
Okay.
On the first episode, I gave a few examples of what I considered were names that you wouldn't call your baby.
No, I've got an Uncle Brian.
Okay.
But he suits that name.
Because he's an adult.
And he's,
Yeah, I totally get that. Brian, things like Colin.
Yeah, but I've
got a friend called Colin.
Yeah, but there is a Brian who we used to work with.
Yes, I know.
Very much suits that name.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sure he's not listening to the podcast right now.
Oh, okay. Does he still work where you work?
He still does, yeah. Yeah. Even something like Craig. Would you call a baby Craig?
Yeah, I think you would actually.
That's my stomach. You would?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure. It suits an adult. But, okay. Dry whiteboard.
Little baby Brian.
Little baby Brian. Okay.
What names have we got on there at the moment?
Well, the three that we were talking about. Oh, we got Dave Petty went with Trevor, which was a good one. So we're going to go with Brian. And
no, spelled with I.
Oh, okay. I've spelled it like as in Brian Adams.
Oh.
I'll change that later. Actually, no, I'm going to change it now because Brian with a Y may even be slightly trendier.
I was going to say it's quite fashionable, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so you go with Brian. That's a good one. Again, I'd just like to reiterate: we are not. We don't mean to. Don't mean to insult anyone with these names.
Or baby's called then.
No.
No, I think you should.
You think? Yeah. What you think we should want to stop people naming
just be like,
I don't think so.
There's a list for a reason, and there's a list. This is why people are coming on, because little 4-year-old Brian's getting bullied,
or just because I gave him a platform to do it.
Yeah,
I apologise for that.
Poor Brian.
So, if you're familiar with the podcast, which I hope you are by now, it's episode 4. And I should probably take this opportunity to say thank you to everyone that's listening and also interacting with the videos on Facebook. Very much appreciated. Then you will know that towards the end of the podcast, I give my guest, who on this episode is Mr. Jack Nash,
Hello,
and a chance to rant and, moan about something that gets on their nerves. Since I didn't do an embarrassing moment this episode, just because I didn't think there was one that warranted, Jack's time, Jack's been very nice and given me permission on my own podcast, so thanks for that, Jack, to talk about something that annoys me before we then get on to his.
Okay.
And I've got 2 main things that annoy me. One are people with no spatial awareness, and the other one is lack of courtesy. Now, lack of courtesy, there's lots of things that fall under it. The main ones are no pleases and thank yous.
Yes.
No putting your hand up to say thank you for letting me through when it was actually your right of way or whatever in the car. People not using their indicators because they don't care that there are other people on the road that might need to know which direction they're going in.
Yes.
All these kinds of people opening a door, not holding the door when they can see behind them. Like, just,
I kind of feel that even as a terrible driver that I am, I still do those things.
What, you do the non-courteous things?
No, I do the courteous things.
Oh, well, that's good.
And what my point is that, there are 2 types of terrible drivers. Ones that don't know they're terrible drivers and ones that do. And the ones that do know they're a terrible driver.
And don't care.
And are a minority, aren't they?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if they are a minority. We've got a lot of them around here.
Exactly, but I think a lot of people just know that they are. Then people think they're a good driver, don't they? When in actual fact, they're terrible.
And if someone thinks that they are a good driver and they're not, then they're the worst people because you can't reason with them because they refuse to accept anything other.
My mother, when I'm driving her around, she kind of puts her foot on the pedal as if we were in a driving instructor's car to
What, your pedal?
Yeah, if she's the passenger, so she sat there, and if I'm driving too fast or someone's close or whatever, she'll put her foot on an imaginary pedal as if she was in a driving instructor's car.
Oh, I see, yeah.
And I'm like,
well, that's nerves, isn't it?
I'm not that bad of a driver. I'm just yeah, I get what you mean, but I'm saying that Mum, you doing that on the floor is going to make me a more nervous driver.
Yeah.
And you can only die once, Mum. So if you get crashed, it's just better if you sit there and don't do anything, because you putting your foot on the imaginary brake is just making me more nervous.
Well, Kaz does that as well.
Yeah.
She will hate me saying this, but when we're going anywhere, usually on a long journey on the motorway or something like that, she will not realise that I've clocked something because I've got good spatial awareness.
Yes.
And she'll react to something. She'll go, "Ugh!" And then, of course, that takes my attention away, thinking, is there something I haven't noticed? But she's reacting to something I've already noticed, but she's over-dramatised it. And then I end up shouting, and then we have an argument, and then there's an atmosphere for about an hour, and then it all fizzles out.
Yeah.
But, she thinks I'm in the wrong for that, but I wish that she would trust that I've already... She says she can't help it, and I get it. It's an instinctual thing, But, that's...
It'd just be ideal if we were able to blindfold these people and be like, you're in the car.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll stick him in the boot.
Well, yeah.
I'm going with that.
Yeah.
So the courtesy thing is a real big thing for me. It absolutely enrages me. I don't really need to go into detail with it. It's just those things. Manners don't cost anything. And how can you not? How can you not be thinking of anyone else? It just absolutely enrages me. My other thing is spatial awareness, and these 2 things fit in together. Actually, no, before I go on to spatial awareness, something that really annoys me when it comes to courtesy, maybe a bit of spatial awareness, are people that spend too long at the cash point.
Yes.
They go to the cash point, they take their money out, or they put their code in, let's check my balance. Do I want a receipt? Yes, I do want a receipt. Oh, hang on a minute, let me have a look at this. Let's have a look at that. They draw all their money out, and the worst ones are the people that they know that they've got people behind them, or do they? I don't know. Get their money out, card in the pocket, another card comes out. While I'm here, I'll check the other account. You should be made to queue up again if you're checking 2 accounts.
Yes.
I don't care what anyone says. It's selfish. You've got people behind you. And usually, anyone that knows me, I'm in a rush for everything because I've left everything to the last minute. But if I go to the cash point, I know that I only want 20 quid. I don't want to check my balance. I don't want a receipt. I want to get it as quick as I can because I want to get in the pub and meet my mates.
But I think as well, like when you might ever see like somebody, if they're gonna like be shopping something and you're in a queue, and always time in the queue, like you put like your item, your chair or whatever on the table, and you say like, I want to buy this chair. And you go, right, that'll be £20 piece. So they go, oh, okay. Get the money out. Why have you not got that money out already?
Yeah.
What have you been doing in the queue to like? You know you've got to pay for it.
Oh yeah, but that then makes me think of another one. And I'm not having a bash at Kaz, but Kaz does this, and lots of other people do this. When you're queuing up in, say, McDonald's, okay, and you're looking, and I already know what I want.
Yes.
I've gone there because I want a barbecue sauce chicken legend.
Yes.
And that's that.
Indecisiveness.
Yeah, with a chocolate milkshake, maybe I'll go large. I don't know. I'll decide when I get there. But it's a split second decision. People that queue up and queue up and queue up, and I'm like, oh, that looks nice. Shall I have that? Oh, that does look nice. And blah blah blah. You get there, it's like, can I help you? Actually, Kaz doesn't do this. That's wrong to say that, but she does look at the menu. She says how nice everything looks, and she thinks she's going to go for that, but inevitably she'll go, Big Mac meal, please.
Yeah.
She goes for the same thing she always
I
has.
kind of share that same frustrating as somebody who is currently dating someone who is incredibly indecisive.
Okay.
So we'll go out to dinner, and I'll like look at the menu. So even like, actually, I'll give you an example of yesterday. So we went for a meal. And he says, right, I want the tuna steak. Right, that's fine. This is like a good thing. Like, he decides what he wants, and he's going to get that. And I was looking at the menu, and I think I was going to get like a burger or something. And I wasn't really hungry enough for a burger, but it's the only thing I saw on there anyway. Anyway, the table next to me was ordering a baguette.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I didn't realise they were doing baguettes. But the guy was already like taking our order. So I quickly flipped the menu over, saw all the baguettes, and was like, all right, I like a BLT. I love that. There's no indecisiveness there. There's just kind of like, I know what I want. I know what I'm going to have.
Yeah.
Connor, on the other hand, would have been like, oh, they do baguettes. Oh, let's have a look at these. Oh, does that come with chips? Oh, does that come with a salad? Oh, what does that come with? Oh, and is that chicken free range? And all that kind of just...
Oh, yeah.
And I'll just be like, just get what you want. I've actually had to chase somebody before because I was like, right, if you don't order what you want, I'm going to order for you. Because I'm like, I'm hungry and you're indecisive. We've been here for 10 minutes and you're looking at the menu. And if you don't know, the waiter's here now. Want to order? And I've had to then go, right, we'll have 2 steaks. His rare, mine medium rare. And the waiter went off and he was like, oh, no. Oh, I don't know what I want now.
Well, you're having a steak.
I was like, having a steak. And then I had to chase the guy because I did feel bad because I was like, I don't know why I felt bad. I think I just should have left it as a life lesson and been like, eat your rare steak now, the one that you didn't want, because of you giving me that choice to make for you. Yeah,
it does annoy me. And what was the other thing that annoys me?
Spatial awareness.
Spatial awareness is it falls under lots of different things. Kids. Yeah. I know you can't be angry at kids because they don't know any better. But when you walk in a supermarket or in a high street and a kid is running your direction, looking the other way, and then they bump into you and then look, and all right, it's hard to be angry at them because they don't know any better. But when adults do it, or when you're walking down an aisle in a supermarket and you try to go to the right and they go to the right as well, and they're, oh, look at that, oh, minestrone soup, oh, and then you try to go to the left and like, oh, look at that, sellotape, and they just
what kind of aisle in a supermarket? Aldi, where they just have like
is the green
sellotape and minestrone soup.
Why wouldn't you need? You might need those in the same aisle. It's the green room supermarket.
Oh, okay.
Coming to a town near you.
Yeah.
and or people that maybe the whole family's out and they think that it's okay to take up the whole aisle because they're it goes on to cyclists riding two abreast. It goes on to holiday makers. They're the worst. Who come, you should probably know by now if you've listened to the podcast. We live in a small North Devon town on the coast. The whole mentality of we're on holiday, therefore life as everyone knows it stops.
Yeah.
Except for us, we just wander around. We're going to walk in the middle of the road on the harbour because it doesn't matter that there are cars and they're driving and they're going about their daily lives.
Yeah.
We're on holiday, so all the rules that normally apply in society don't apply anymore because we're on holiday.
Yeah.
And again, it's spatial awareness. They're not aware that things are going on around them, and it absolutely just does my head in. And they're my two biggest annoyances. And I will be annoyed by each of those multiple times a day.
Yeah, just because that's people for you.
Yeah, it is. Idiots.
Yeah.
There were a couple of good moans, actually.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I might have encroached on yours
That's
with mine.
fine.
I had a double whammy.
You did.
But it was good. It feels good. I've wanted to do those for all these episodes, but I've been trying to give the guest their sort of spotlight, and then I've been getting more and more frustrated that I haven't had my say
It's
about
very
it.
nice of you.
Thanks. Well, it's very nice of you to come on the green room, and also to let me do
I've
it.
enjoyed my time. I think I've had a lot of pressure, anxiety about to perform.
Really?
I think I've just probably got more boring over the time. I've become like an adult now, and just like
Oh, I know.
I work in a bank, and it's just like
I'm not the Jack Nash Wayne's going to remember.
I know.
Yeah.
Who was like the non-compliant Jack Nash.
Yeah, well, you've got to be responsible now because
Exactly.
working in a bank, and that kind of brings us to the wrap up, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, for more than one reason, we've got people coming and going in the house,
Yeah.
which could interrupt any kind of.
And I've needed
goal.
a wee since this started.
I have as well, but it's
Eventually.
good to exercise the. It's not the sphincter muscles, is it? It's like I don't know. It's good to hold it to a certain point,
I
but
just
not that you can damage
feel
it.
It's appropriate for you to just say to a gay man, it's good to be relaxing your anus.
You're so easily offended. You're such a
Yes.
snowflake, Jack
I am
Nash.
such a snowflake.
You are. Danny Lamosa would have a field day with you.
Well, yeah, but just call him fat and then just say, well, if you get offended by that, you're a snowflake.
Yeah. Well, so what's the plan? Yeah, how much longer are you here?
I'm down here for a couple of days, and then
Yeah.
I'm going to my uncle's in Cornwall,
Nice.
and then unfortunately, not unfortunately, back up to Warrington after that.
Yeah.
The hub of the Northwest.
The second time you've said it, I wasn't aware of it, but thanks for educating me.
Yeah,
It's great.
it's equidistance from Liverpool and Manchester.
I don't know what equidistance means, but
It's right in the
thanks.
middle.
Oh, okay. That's great.
I might have just made it up actually.
Well, if you come on again, if you could refrain from using words I don't, understand, which are most of them.
Yeah, so sit here in silence basically.
Yeah. Or just let me do all the talking like I normally
do.
Yeah. But well, it's been nice catching up. And I say that like you're going and we're not going to see each other. We are actually heading down the pub after this, aren't we?
I would rather you just kind of like take out your recording to the pub.
That could be.
And then I can just be like, here's an embarrassing moment for you.
And we've got video evidence of it as well.
And just be like, oh, you think that's bad?
Well, okay, so just to wrap up, if there are any of Jack's old acquaintances, I don't know, ex-love interest out there that can provide a good embarrassing moment for Jack.
Well, no, because we're just going to be talking about like erectile dysfunction the whole time, aren't we?
What, on your part or theirs?
Just both, really. Just
Oh,
everyone's.
Well, let us know in the
No,
comments.
there'll be rumours then, won't there? They'll be like, reading comments like, well, that's not true. Why has it said that?
Well, I can only take your word for that, Jack.
Well, exactly.
But, yeah.
I put it out there now that everything that anyone else says is not true.
Well, I'll be the judge of that. And I say that like any of those people are going to be listening to this. I'm struggling to get people to listen to it anyway.
Who you know.
Yeah, but I will say thank you again to those people that are listening and also watching the videos and engaging with them in any way. Oh, I do need to say that I started this new little thing on the Facebook page and Instagram called Green Room Heroes. And what that is each episode, someone is getting nominated as a Green Room hero. And this is based on a number of things. It could be maybe you listen to the podcast in like a really unusual place. Maybe you're just constantly supportive of the videos and you liking stuff and engaging stuff. Maybe you've put a funny comment on something and I really liked it. Maybe you've given me good feedback on the podcast. All those things will basically put you in the running to be the Green Room hero.
Who's your Green Room hero this week?
Well, I think we're going to do... Yeah, okay, we'll do one because she deserves her own episode. And I'm sorry it's taken till episode 4, but I've only just come up with it. Green Room hero number 1, okay, based on episode 1, is Sophie Hickles. Sophie is someone that we both know. She's currently living in Canada, and she messaged me after episode 1 came out saying that she'd listened to the podcast on a bus traveling through Mexico.
That's very good.
And she was on a holiday, and she kind of gave me some, said she enjoyed it. She talked about, she was glad that I'd finally watched Snatch, because she was always telling me I should watch it because it was one of her favourite films. And I just thought that was really cool that someone had listened to my podcast in another country on a bus, and that puts her as
your hero. Green
Room hero number 1. So well done, Soph, and thank you very much for that feedback, and thanks a lot for the support and all that, for your podcast support. It's nice to know that one person out there is listening. And on next episode there will be another Green Room hero, so it could be you.
Just make sure you listen to it on a bus in a different country, and then you'll be the hero.
Yeah, it's got to, it could be the smallest thing, it could be the biggest thing.
How do you know she was telling the truth?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, I listened to episode 3 on a bus.
I am not nominating you for Employee of the Quarter, Jack.
Just
it's
saying
not happening.
that, I've done what she did.
Well, no, I do believe her, and it was very nice of her. So thank you, Sophie Hickles. Hopefully I edited that right.
Yeah.
So once again, I've said it 4 times. Thanks very much for coming on, Jack.
You're
and maybe you can come on at a later date. It'll probably be all about movies then, which is where I'm thinking of taking this. Are you into your movies?
I just think that the pinnacle of movies is white chicks, and then everything is bad from then on.
Right, we'll save that, and that will be the topic of one of the movie episodes.
Good.
So thanks very much.
Do you shake hands?
Let's do like a high five so they can hear it.
That'll be a good way to cut that.
It will. Yeah. Except we're still talking, so I can't.
Hands?
I know. Well, they've been down my trousers.
Smells like it.
So, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Green Room. Say bye, Jack Nash.
Fake laugh. Bye.
It's Song of the Week time again, and last episode's Song of the Week seemed to be quite popular with a few of you out there. Song for Zula by Phosphorescent. Thanks for the comments and the messages I got about that one, and thanks for just being bothered to click the link in the first place and go and give it a listen on YouTube. It's nice to know that people are engaging with some of the stuff that I'm putting up on the Facebook page. This episode's Song of the Week is a song by an Australian band called The Paper Kites. And the song is called Revelator Eyes, and it's from their album 12/4. They're a folk indie pop band, although the album that this song is from is slightly more electronic pop and slightly more upbeat than their previous album, which was called States, which was more acoustic and more chilled out. But both albums are definitely worth checking out, especially this song. As always, I'll post a link to the song on YouTube on the Facebook page. Click the link, go and give it a listen. Let me know what you think. And also let me know what songs you've been listening to, if there's anything I should check out. And maybe I can review it on a future episode of The Green Room. So that's my Song of the Week, Revelator Eyes by The Paper Kites. See you next time. Cheers.